we're taking your calls right now, 800-636-1067. How are you feeling about this game? Can they beat the Eagles? And then if they do and snap the 10-game win streak, to give you a different mindset of what this team could possibly do in the playoffs. 800-636-1067.
The good news is when we're hitting on all cylinders offensively, I do think we can beat anybody. If we're scoring 30-plus points a game, I mean, that instantly, I think, gives you some credibility. Now, defensively, we haven't shown really that we can stop teams
consistent
in the fourth quarter when you need to against good teams.
Right.
But maybe the addition of Lattimore changes that math a little bit. We'll see. We'll find out. All right, let's bang on some of these calls. 800-636-1067. They're certainly, a playoff team, but you expect them to win anything if they go into the playoffs and haven't beaten a real winning team. If they beat the Eagles, ESPN's got them number one ranked team in football right now.
Yep.
I think that has to open up your perspective.
Considering the way teams like the Bills are playing, considering the Chiefs who are 13-1. Yeah, obviously Detroit, even though they've have so many defensive injuries. But yeah, it says a lot.
Let's go to Marcus in Brandywine. Marcus, what's up, buddy? You're on with the Junks.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you?
What's up?
Pretty good. I think this win would kind of legitimize us in the playoffs a little bit more. However, I don't. Just like you guys said before, it on any given Sunday, anything can happen, right? And we've seen that closely. Well, I mean, not closely. We've seen that a lot this season. So, and I feel like that gets magnetized at least 10 or 20 times more once you get to the playoffs. So I feel like regardless if we beat the Eagles or if we lose to the Eagles, if we make the playoffs, I feel like the regular season at that point means, it sounds crazy, but it means nothing because now everybody's starting over. I mean, theoretically everybody's starting over from scratch, so anything can happen. And then we talk about, the fans talk about, we haven't beaten any winning teams, but what about the winning teams that have lost to losing teams? That's why it kind of, it's for me, we've been in this position before, albeit 2015, 2012. It's been a while, but we've been here before. We get to the, we make the playoffs and then nothing happens. So I'm not satisfied with just having a great season. I'm not satisfied. Well, not great season. I'm not satisfied with just having a good season. I feel like, just like you said, if we're firing on all cylinders, we can do things. But I'm a believer, like these players, they hear the outside noise. And I would much rather our players go into these games, with the confidence of the fans rather than going into these games trying to prove the fans wrong with them saying, "Oh, we're not contenders."
I'm not sure how much. Thank you, Marcus. I'm not sure how much this group cares what the fans think.
I think they're confident. They're going to give it their all. They're professional athletes.
I think
they probably feel like that. If they're playing really well, they can beat anybody. But
I don't think Jaden Daniels gives a crap. I don't think he's locked in on what the radio guys are saying.
No, because he doesn't know anything about the history of the team, and
I just don't think he cares. I think he's just going to go out there and play.
I agree.
I will say I can't get over, and I kind of mocked this a couple weeks ago, but I can't get it out of my mind that if we're going to make some noise, it might have to be this year, Jason. I just want to remind you, next year we have the Packers, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Lions, the Broncos, and everybody's favorite, Bo Nix. Next year is going to be a lot more difficult, right? You're not going to get to the playoffs without beating winning teams. This year, you could actually do it. This year, you could beat the Falcons, get to the playoffs, and basically, essentially, not beat a winning team.
Yeah.
Next year, that ain't going to happen.
I know.
Not possible.
I've said it a million times. This roster will look totally different.
We'll be better.
And you don't, and those teams' rosters will look different as well. You threw the Vikings out there. Well, the Vikings might be started in basically a rookie quarterback.
I think they will. But they're still going to have Justin Jefferson. They're still going to have those guys.
So yeah, on paper, the schedule looks much more difficult next year. But you worry about that in 2025.
I know. I'm just saying it's in the back of my mind. I can't get it out of it. Right, let's go to Andre in Manassas. Andre, what's up? You're on with the Junkies.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, of course we can beat the Eagles. But
would that change your perspective?
No, because my perspective is this defense is coming, and I know everyone's upset about the game yesterday. Could have beat destroyed them more the Sunday. But what's his name? Is it Flowers or Fowler? Dante Fowler?
Fowler,
That
yeah.
dude is bad. Yeah, I mean, some of those sacks that he had and the refs, said it were penalties. I mean, our defense is coming. I think it's going to be. I think you're asking too much for a rookie quarterback to lead your team all the way into playoffs. I mean, I'm not saying Jaden can't do it, but I would rather bet on our defense the way they're coming. Obviously, with Marshawn Lattimore playing, with Sanders still the way he is. Word is that there's a slight possibility Jonathan Allen may come back. I think if we make a lot of noise in this game against Philly and moving forward in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be because of the defense. And I'm proud of this defense, man. This boy Fowler is, everything you want to Chase Young to be. And this guy, who, I don't even know where he was drafted, but this guy is a bad dude.
He was drafted pretty high.
He was a high pick.
He was a high pick, yeah.
When you have a good defensive line and good secondary, that's a lot of turnovers, man. I think we're going to make a lot of turnovers the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some good football coming up this week.
Thank you, Andre. Appreciate it. Let's go to Rob.
Dante Fowler Jr., by the way, was the third pick in the draft.
Yeah. He's got talent. Florida. Let's go to Rob in Landover, 800-636-1067. If they beat the Eagles, which is certainly possible, division rival, it wouldn't be shocking by any stretch of the imagination, but it would be by far their most impressive win.
Yes.
I think it opens up the sort of the possibilities. Here's the thing. I feel like in the playoffs, you can win any one-off game, but can you win two or three?
That's the difficulty, especially when you're on the road.
So I think you got to beat a team like the Eagles in the regular season to even have that idea that you could do it. Let's go to Rob in Landover. Rob, what's up? 800-636-1067 if you want to chime in. Rob?
Good morning. Good morning, boys. How we doing?
Hey,
what's up,
good.
Rob?
How are you? Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, all that stuff.
I'm pumped up, man. I'm still cussing out Ron Rivera every morning, and I'm feeling good. But I think you got to look at the line of scrimmage. We shouldn't have played the way we played against New Orleans. We look kind of sketchy. We have some health issues with the tight end, and when we're talking about blocking their D line, I feel like our defensive linemen are getting walked to the sideline every time there's a stretch run or anything. I'm not sure about that. It's going to have to be on the defensive side. I think Lattimore helps a lot, but I think we're going to have Hurts hold the ball when he wants to throw it, and when they're doing these runs, we're going to have to stop their momentum and make them change direction and be on it and tackle sound and take the confidence away. This is a psychology game. We know how they play. We know how they play. They know how we play. But can we overcome the adversity when we have negative plays, when we have penalties? How do we respond? And more importantly, Terry McLaurin, that fire, when he gets that look in his eye, I need everybody to be like that from play number one, not after we get down 2 touchdowns and play from behind. We need to have that fire from the beginning. If we do that, we can take their will and we can win that game.
No, it's definitely winnable. And we might have a totally different perspective going into this game if we had just connected on a few of those plays. I mean, think about it.
I heard 17.
I heard JP mention this. I think it was yesterday on the show.
Finley?
What day is today? Yeah. JP Finley mentioned this. He could have had 5 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
If they connected on those, I mean, literally, he had those guys beat.
Correct.
You could have had 5 touchdowns. And then you'd have a totally different perspective going into this week. That game was that close to being busted wide open.
The second one down the right sideline to McLaurin, would you put that on Daniels just overthrowing him a bit or McLaurin dropping it?
There was one where he overthrew him.
I'm going to put it on the QB.
Okay. There is one where he overthrew him.
McLaurin beat his man.
There is one. But hold on. There is one where he overthrew him, but where Terry hesitated at the beginning of the route. I can't remember which one it was.
I think that was the second one.
Yeah, and then so that just screwed up the timing. That just screwed up time. All right, thank you, Elijah. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate you. Let's go to – oh, no, that was Rob. Let's go to Elijah in D.C. I'm sorry. Elijah, what's up, man? You're on with the Junks.
What's going on, fellas? I was like, man, I know it's kind of early, but I'm pretty sure I didn't go yet.
Yeah, sorry.
No, man, it's all up. Hey, man, I do think the legitimacy increases with the win. What I was most excited about over last week's win is coming through this stretch. I was like, okay, I want to see the increase of production to Terry McLaurin. It's going to happen, man. There's going to be moments throughout this stretch or even in the playoffs where we're going to have it. Take it back to a number of weeks ago against that kind of almost got to have it play against Cincinnati. Calls it.
and you got Terry down that play side line way down that he caught that ball. Don't forget that those plays and type of plays aren't outside of Jaden Daniels' ability and wheelhouse. So I'm counting on some of those things, moving him around. Eagles didn't have to necessarily prepare for that. I want to see how they cover him across the board, right? Because, once Jaden Daniels tucked that ball, he starts moving his legs like he could run. If you ever play defense, it's so hard to stay sound against a guy who can move. Because, man, when Terry gets that scramble drill, they seem like a different squad that hasn't always been a factor in the game, that they're trying to work their late game philosophy now, moving them around. Because when you play better teams, bro, you're going to have to move. You're going to have to be able to have boot, get off your spot a little bit, find a guy. So when those types of jailbreak plays and things go on, I kind of get excited just because the type of personnel that we have bodes well with that. Plays are going to break down. You've seen Chiefs win on a freaking 2-point conversion, or they smack a ball during a field goal. That's what's going to happen. That happens on these big games, or as teams get better, the margin gets closer. So you are going to have to make some plays, and you're going to need the personnel to do it. So fire them up, get them going. It may take 4 weeks to say. By the time we finish in the season, maybe that deep ball is just how it needs to be going into the playoffs. They know what they need. I'm so glad that they did it last week versus like we get into the Falcons game, or we pretty much closing the season and we realize that it's going to take an extra step that we didn't start doing until too late. So I think they're doing the right thing at the right time. Yeah, it's going to take the defense as well. Super important. Everyone's going to have to do their job. Everyone's got to play sound. It's going to take 53. So, all
right, thanks, Elijah. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks for calling in, man.
Yeah.
So I can see the mindset of fans getting really jacked up over a team like the Eagles. I just think that the Eagles have so much more talent overall on both sides of the ball, and Barkley is a difference maker. They're going to go to Barkley. Now, Barkley was a little banged up this past week against the Steelers. They didn't really need him, but that's how good they are. If they don't need to go to Barkley, they can go through the air. But I think Barkley, if he's healthy, he's going to be the main factor.
Somebody made this point, I remember, a few weeks ago, and there might be something to it, that of the 5 losses, you could argue 4 of them come against teams that kind of practice against like super mobile quarterbacks like Jaden. Lost to Baker. Baker can move around. He certainly was shifty against us. You lose to Baltimore and Lamar. Right. Everybody knows what he's capable of on there. I mean, Pittsburgh has Russ, even though he doesn't run like he used to, but they still have Fields, right? So they see Philly has Hurts, so they're used to mobile quarterbacks, defending mobile quarterbacks, because they do it in practice every day.
Yeah.
So some of that stuff that makes Jaden special, maybe against some of these teams, it's not quite as effective because they have their versions of that on their own teams that they practice against.
Yeah, and then the Dallas game, they just came out flat and they looked terrible.
Dallas
for
game
an
is just like
half.
a weird game.
And, they had the special teams
Case
mistakes.
Jinxed us and everything.
I just think that I'm not saying the Commanders have to have a signature win before they get to the playoffs, but
I think they do if you want to have expectations.
Yeah, I'm not even sure the expectations change that much. That's just my opinion.
But for you, it wouldn't. If they beat the Eagles, you wouldn't say, hey, you know what? This team's capable of anything.
Because I still look at the overall roster and say they're not as good as the teams they're going to have to face on the road in the playoffs.
True. It's true on the whole, I think. Yeah. Let's go to Dave, Indian Head. Dave, what's up?
What's up, guys? What's up, EB, man? You got to have some confidence in the mob, man, in the squad. We've been in every game, bro. We've been in every game. In those games that y'all talking about, we lost. We lost by some fluke situations.
Right.
Pittsburgh, the referee called us short for what would have been a game winner.
Was that the Ertz play? Can't remember.
Saints, yeah. Exactly, the Ertz play. The Saints, hey, man, we actually had them beat. The refs took that game from us in every way. What? The stop clock.
They did win.
Stopped. The clock, I know, but we weren't even close to losing that. You're talking about
it. It was very close.
No, we weren't. We weren't really.
We could have blown it wide open, though.
Yeah, I understand the refs botched the clock.
We could have blown it wide open if we just connected on a couple.
But they let them back in the game. That's the point.
If that never happens, if a couple of those calls that the refs gave to them never happens, they're nowhere close. Who the other team? Philly. The first time we played them, We shut Saquon down for about 2 or 3 quarters. He got off on 2 big plays. Two big run plays.
That's when he
end.
busted it wide open, for sure.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're right there, man. We're right there. And all we need is that extra kick, and we got the motivation, man, with this new cornerback, with our quarterback, Lattimore.
Mm-hmm.
Now that the defense is being got a squad on defense, we can go to the big championship game, and I'm going to say it today. Mark my words, we can go to the big game, man.
You think they're going to the Super Bowl?
I think we can go to the Super Bowl with Jaden.
He's not saying they're going to. He's saying they're capable.
Well,
absolutely.
Anybody's capable if they just win games. But would you put your money on the Commanders going to the Super Bowl? No, you wouldn't.
If we're in the show, like you guys have been saying, we're in the party, we're at the dance. Anybody can win once we get in there, man.
Right. All right.
And I think that we're the type of squad with the coaching, with the new regime, with the hype that the fans are going to give once we get there. Man, listen, we can go, man.
I will say this. No matter what happens down the stretch, if we do get to the playoffs, if I was an opposing coach, I wouldn't necessarily want to play us.
Exactly.
I wouldn't necessarily want to say, okay, I got to shut down Jaden and all the things he can do. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we will be a tough out for most teams.
Yeah.
I think
Jaden's
I wouldn't want to play
weapon.
us.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, would you want to play, Minnesota or
maybe, I don't know,
or Green Bay? They got tough outs.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I just think that it's very difficult to go on the road as a 7 seed and win multiple games. We'll see what happens and see who they play, but this is a big one on many different levels. Some fans like Dave think that the Commanders are going to go beat the Eagles.
He didn't say they're going to the Super Bowl. He just said they're capable. That's what he was saying.
He was leaning towards they're going
capable.
To win a few games.
He was saying anything's possible.
Well, that part is true, but is it probable? It's a negative.